You know, but this kind of stuff, you know, is functionally not interesting at all. It's a little bit interesting for interoperation with VPP, and that's about it.
Yeah, actually, we had a discussion about this one, and
hey,
idea
Damian,
from
Mike.
I have it.
Oh, you? Oh.
Yeah. So
You're not
they just
loud.
need to plug me in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the discussion with DPDK community here was that actually this next pointer should not be used. But reality is different, and many drivers are actually using that next.
Hey, thank you, Mike.
No, even in the fast path.
No, so there is an initialization that happens, and that's to some extent an issue we should get rid of. The 412 drive was actually initializing it in the wrong place by default. That was causing a performance problem, about 7-8%.
Yep. I buy that.
That's kind of what we saw. And then once we took that out, it went back to pretty much normal. So I think this is one we'll have to go fix, Vincent. Figure out how we want to go.
Yeah.
You know, make sure that this one doesn't happen.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, we're absolutely not in love with this, but it's the point, you know, it's to point out that it makes kind of a noticeable difference for that one driver.
Yeah, it's 7 or 8% is what we've seen. I think this was also reported by Matthew Hall.
So
yeah, but well. That part is manageable. The next patch, can we scroll down?
Oh, what is the next one anyway?
Scroll down.
I'll bet you this is about the same thing. Yeah. Yeah, this is the Vincent.
This is the ramification of moving that up, is that you have to drop a whole bunch of stuff down.
Yeah, yep. Because that's the part that is much challenging.
Now, the problem is this one affects everybody else.
Yeah, yeah. Well, again, if we can get the next thing, so it's not a problem.
I think we'll figure that one out.
Yeah. The only reason I even found that was I would run perf top, and the one place that was setting that to 0 was just, oh my God. So, again, I'll be perfectly glad to show this one the exit at everyone's earliest convenience.
I'll check that with some folks at 6win.
Which one?
Yeah.
I will check that with some engineers.
So we saw this. I mean, this one Bruce has a resolution for already.
Okay.
So I think it was pushed into 2.3, if I remember right.
At any rate, so guys, we're kind of hitting the scheduled EOT time. What I'd love to do is make sure that we capture questions, requests, so on. Just get some notes from everybody as to what we could do better the next time, because there's undoubtedly going to be a next time, and hopefully the VODs of this will be useful to people that haven't been able to be here and kind of get everybody to at least the same place. But I'm real curious as to what we can do to make this more effective. Again, I totally apologize. I'm the worst person in the world to explain this stuff because I've been working on it for so bloody long. But I'd love to go around the room. Anybody have suggestions how we could make this more useful? We've gone awfully deep in a few places rather than real broad. I would have loved to have sort of had the wherewithal to do sort of a week of it, because it'd be much better. Except that for obvious practical reasons, folks have had to travel and so on.
Yeah, I think, like I was talking about earlier, some pictures and some things would help us understand where the things sit and live and breathe and what the flow is of this data through the system, and the initialization paths, things like that. So yeah, some of that stuff, I know you know it very well, but I just don't see every piece, and I need to see that basic before I can get into the details. So.
Yeah, it's a little bit, the advice I give people is, cut and paste isn't for sissies until you really get up to speed. You can, for almost anything you want to do, you'll find something that does almost that. And it's like, well, yeah, such and such for tunnel encapsulations, for example, if you want to do another one, we have actually a fairly decent wiki doc of how to do a tunnel encap. If you follow the pattern, it'll be painful, but at least you're going to get over the finish line. The thing I don't want to do is get people super frustrated, because it's not that it's the hardest thing in the world, but if you don't feel like you're making progress, folks' heads are going to explode, and they'll just say, yeah, I've got something better to do, like my day job or whatever.
So one option is that we can potentially set up some kind of WebExes and some online sessions where we could set up a couple of hours someday to go through a particular area. We could record that session and kind of make that available to kind of go into a broader set of areas within the code. Given the time we had today, it was going to be impossible to satisfy everyone's needs. So that's one option. And the other option, to your point, I think it's a very valid point, is that some high-level slides that may be able to help put some of this stuff into pictures might actually be useful to get people from 0 to n, wherever n happens to be. Dave is already at n plus n plus n plus n plus infinity. So maybe a couple of slides like that. We have been talking about trying some really intro slides and stuff like that to try and get people. So we'll definitely look at some stuff like that. And again, we'd appreciate your help and feedback as to what you think would be useful to start that stuff. Because again, that's a collaboration, right?
Well, I think that if it's not easy to de-Emacsify it, perhaps some tutorial for those that haven't, like me, that haven't used Emacs in 30 years to just kind of, I'm sorry, but I know I'm probably irritating everybody, but just to get past that, just so we can write a plugin, and not be, not have to deal with the tools. Let me give you the 2 sentences
on that. There's a directory called sample-plugin. Take it and and
edit it and okay.
Yeah, because the Emacs macros equals sample plugin with the name with the name sample turned into a parameter that I set from the command line. That's it.
Yeah, so just edit the plugin and do make.
What?
You do configure first. It's a lot of tools.
What happened? Oh, try.
Edit the plugin and make build.
I'd suggest copying it so you haven't lost all memory of it. But yeah.
That's what Git is for.
And you'll as you read through it, you'll see what's necessary. The point is, for doing individual graph nodes, they all look a lot alike. If you start just scouting around and you can make some time just to look at what's done, you'll see that there's a tremendously regular structure, and that the sample plugin is as good as the keyboard macro. It just won't change its name for you.
And Dave, the plugins are using auto tools, while some other folders don't use auto tools. Why do we have auto tools for?
Why auto tools? Historical accident, really, based back to 2000 as much as anything. I mean, we've been using the build system about as is since 2000. It's pretty good at doing architecture and platform portability. I know you don't particularly love it. In fact, you're shaking your head saying, "No, I hate it." It's one of those things. I have no particular religion about it. The one star in the margin is we're shipping a ton of product within Cisco that also uses this infrastructure. One of the details I didn't get into about the build system is it's perfectly happy to composite together a set of repositories, not just one. And it's good for that. It's also capable of building an entire Linux embedded distro if you stroke it correctly. And we've done all those things. So I'm not in love with it. I do find it pretty productive, but then again, I've been working with it for, I don't even want to think about how long. But yeah, I mean, point taken, Vincent. I get it.
There's one issue without the tools.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
green.
I have it. Yeah. So so another issue is that without the tools, you really cannot do cross compiling in the way like we need it today, because we basically have some tools which are depending on some libraries which needs to be native. And then you need to use compile the same library to be actually cross-compiled. And without the tools, you cannot do that.
Yeah. In the product context, what I actually do is to build a fully walled garden to install stuff in OpSysco, OpSysco blah blah blah. I build the Cisco FIPS blessed version of OpenSSL. I make absolutely sure that all the binaries use it, and that there's no escaping that walled garden to go run against the system library. I literally build glibc, GCC, the whole damn thing from scratch. So there's a bunch of functionality that for product use comes in really handy that can't be done with, that can't easily be done with other tools or without doing a bunch of work. If it gets to be in the way, we can certainly work on it. If it's not actually in the way, and currently, we just say dpdk build environment. Okay, we get it. We'll just use it.
That was my comment, because in the DPDK framework, there is a makefile framework for some kind of cross compilations. It allows both native and cross compilations of any external applications. That's cool. Right. Because the problem I see is that there is a compilation logic in DPDK, some others in the VPP, some others maybe for plugins. So it becomes very difficult to understand all the layers, in fact.
Yeah, I mean, that's perfectly fair feedback.
Another question for Damien. I mean, so as you were mentioning the VS user. In the code right now, it looks like it's a VS user driver that was written from scratch. That's not the VS user.
Yeah, actually, I wrote the driver before the DPDK guys.
Okay. I know. I think I feel your story. I know that we're the same consonantics.
Yeah. But at some point we actually realized that it will be easier to maintain something which is in DPDK. So right now we have actually both versions working. There is a knob you can put into the config file to basically switch from the old legacy driver to DPDK driver.
And the Damian's code is called? The legacy driver.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, the kinds of things the build system, that we use, lets you do, or to say things like, set the architecture, set the root packages variable in this makefile fragment, which is a platform definition, is okay. What things constitute the stuff that we're putting into the Debian packages later, and we do that. Then we figure out how we're going to configure the DPDK. There's a little bit of magic involved in that, but the one thing people want to know about is this, debug tag C flags, which is to say that guy and and the production tag are. They're easily fed to the build process. There's a lot of experience with it. I don't have a real religion about it, but I don't want to go spuriously changing it. This stuff just solidly works, and changing it is something we need to really discuss.